In addition to these lifestyle changes that you did in response to your cardiac event, when you make mention about better changes, you talked about boundaries. And I think that's an important topic for us to just talk about. When you get into that leadership role where you're responsible for a unit or a department or a hospital, how do you set those boundaries and say, no, I'm actually not available?
It takes some effort, but it also takes an understanding of what your obligations are and what you've committed to. I find, especially with the new leaders that are relatively new into their senior leadership roles, it's a change. They get promoted. They were successful in the work that they did. They were a strong leader before they had the title, and then they became a manager or a director. And then now they're leading departments or divisions or clinics. And they still have this hands-on approach where I have to do these things. And that's not your role. You're supposed to delegate and direct and be visionary and look at opportunities. And not supposed to be doing things per se. But unfortunately, too many people are still doing things that they should delegate. And sometimes that means you're going to delegate to some people, and you have to be careful that you don't burn out your own team, which happens a lot, unfortunately, when people just delegate and delegate, but they don't keep tabs on what they're actually delegating. So you might overwhelm your best people. But establishing boundaries is just like, okay, this is when I'm available. This is when I'm not. Having a strong support system. If you're working in a hospital or you're working in a clinic that has staff, utilize your team and get really laser focused on what you do and what you shouldn't do. And you got to build in those shutdown times. We think about work a lot. We think about what we need to do. So we think about work after hours. That's just natural. But having boundaries around, okay, am I going to do something about that right now, or should I just write it down and I'll deal with it when I get back into work mode or work time? That's one of the things that I learned as thoughts come to mind after my designated work hours. I don't say I'm going to just stop everything and do this. I'll document it down and I'll say I'll get back to that when I am back in my work setting. But right now I'm in my self-care time or my family time, and figuring out those things is important. And we hear the phrase work-life balance, and I'm one of those people that I don't believe in balance. I believe more in harmony, because there are busy periods of our lives where we may be working more than normal, but there may be times we're not working as much. So you harmonize things. And one of the things that's been helpful is recognizing that, okay, maybe this week I have a particularly full schedule and I don't have as much time to do some of the leisure things that I like to do. Okay, well then instead of doing that 30-minute nature trail walk, we'll go do it in 10. At least you're still doing it. Where people get in trouble and they start prolonging their stress and then ultimately burning out is they just stop doing those things. Even if they're working a lot of hours, they just stop doing the things that they enjoy doing. And that's dangerous. You need to do those things, even if you're only doing for a few minutes. At least you're still doing them. Sprinkle them in, schedule them. It's important to do.
For us, by us, and just for us, this is Hope for Med.